What's up guys, Josh Mosiman here. Welcome to This Week in MXA, episode number 116, presented to you guys by O'Neill Racing. Thank you for tuning in to this video. Right now, we are gonna talk about the Indianapolis Supercross. Wow, what a great time it is to be a Supercross fan. We're also gonna preview the upcoming Detroit Supercross happening this Saturday, and we're gonna give you some behind the scenes footage from our 2023 450 Shootout. Lots of good stuff. Let's get into it. Starting things off, wow, Ken Roczen getting the win on his Suzuki RMZ 450. Incredible. Before this round, we had only 3 different riders winning 8 different races. Eli Tomac, he won 5 rounds. Cooper Webb, he won 2 rounds. And Chase Sexton, he's got 1 win so far this season. Well, finally, another rider was able to grab the top spot, and it was Ken Roczen, which is a sigh of relief off my shoulders because before Anaheim won, we said in our video that Ken Roczen would grab a win before the season was over, and he finally did it at the 9th round of the season on one of the toughest tracks of the season as well. With his win, Ken Roczen became the most recent rider to win a Supercross on a Suzuki. The last time it was done was by him at the East Rutherford Supercross back in 2016. So that's a pretty big deal for that brand, for that team, and for Ken Roczen himself. Suzuki has been down a long road, but also the HEP Suzuki team, it's been impressive to see the progression that they've had up until this point to where they're able to win a 450 main event. Just for them to even sign a rider like Ken Roczen was a massive deal. Before this, their best rider was Max Anstey and Brandon Hartranft. Max Anstey's top level rider. We have obviously seen that he's done well in the 250 class this year. Brandon Hartranft was a top level rider in the 250 class, riding for the Red Bull Trolley Designs KTM factory team in the 250 ranks, but these guys were not the same level as Ken Roczen. So for them to sign Ken, huge deal. For them to now 6 years after this team started, win a race, incredible. Top level of our sport, top level of motorsports around the world for two-wheel racing. Looking at Cooper Webb, he finished a solid 3rd place on the night. It looked like he had some patience midway through the main event. When Justin Barcia got by him, our photographer, Brian Converse, got an epic photo of the 2 riders just about to collide as they came out of the whoop section. But it almost seemed like if Cooper wanted to, he could have cut off Barcia right there and could have held him off. But Barcia is not a guy you want to mess with, that is for sure. So it was a smart move for Cooper not to mess with him. And I thought that Cooper was saving some energy for late in the race. I think even Ricky Carmichael and Lee Diffie were thinking the same thing, that he'd be able to put on a late race charge, but he settled in for a 3rd place finish while Justin Barcia kept on fighting, and he had the fastest lap time of the main event. That's 2 weeks in a row that he's done that now, Daytona and Indianapolis. But Ken Roczen was able to hold him off. Off that step on, step off on the last lap, it looked like Ken Roczen made a pretty big mistake. Justin closed in on him, but because the track was so rutted, I think that's the main reason why Justin Barcia wasn't able to make a crazy pass on Ken Roczen in that main event. Yes, it's possible to cross ruts, but it is a lot harder to cross and shoot across to the inside when the jumps have ruts, the landings of the jumps have ruts, the turns have ruts. There's just ruts everywhere. Indianapolis was one of the most rutted Supercross events in a long time. And because of that, it is definitely hard to make passes. So I think that played into Ken Roczen's favor. It also played into Justin Barcia's favor. Both these riders are kind of out of the championship. You could see that Chase Sexton obviously crashed. These ruts bit him, drug foot peg, jumping up onto the tabletop. That was a bummer to see him go down. But if he's going to get 10th place at any race, that's the one to do it at, because Eli Tomac, one of the main competitors in the championship, he finished 8th place. Eli Tomac didn't have any crazy chaos go on throughout the main event, and there's no injuries that we can report on, no bike issues that we know of, but Eli Tomac finished 8th. Why did he finish 8th? I think it's because that track was so treacherous. He didn't feel comfortable and didn't want to risk it, and I think it's a smart move in the end on his part. If you know you don't feel well, roll it in for an 8th and keep yourself healthy and fighting for another race. Cooper Webb looked like he did similar. So Cooper Webb, red plate, championship leader. 1 point behind him is Eli Tomac, and now Chase Sexton's not too far behind, and he's still in the fight. So good stuff from the 450 class at Indy. Looking at the 250 class, it was another Lawrence show. Again, Hunter Lawrence grabbed the win, and we talked to Nate Thrasher, finished 2nd place in that race. Nate is obviously gnarly. We've mentioned it multiple times. It's been mentioned a bunch of times on the TV broadcast. Racing through an injury with his knee, through a torn ACL. We got to talk to Nate Thrasher after the race. MXA's contributor Jim Kimball did an interview with him. You could read the full interview on our website, but Nate Thrasher said this: Jet and Hunter don't make many mistakes. Their riding is super solid and they don't ever get sketchy out there. When I hang it out a little bit, I'm going to get a little sketchy. And I think if I could back it down 5% and still go the same speed I go now, I feel like I would be in a lot better spot. Now that is the story. The Lawrence brothers seems like they don't make mistakes very often. And when riders are pressuring them, they always have just a little more speed to pick it up and go even faster. So very impressive. Hunter Lawrence managed a challenging track and was able to get the win in the 450 class. Jeremy Martin, also great race from him. He posted on Instagram that that was the best that he's felt all season. Finished 4th place in the 250 class, so congrats to him. Next up, we have an update from JR Reyes. His full name is Larry Reyes Jr. JR, he posted on Instagram after the race. JR is the rider who got hauled off the track in heat race number 2 of the 250 class. He's the reason that the race was red flagged. He posted on Instagram that he had a grade 5 liver laceration, also a fractured shoulder and a concussion from that crash. He went straight into surgery on Saturday night to stop the internal bleeding, and he's still being monitored to make sure there's no more bleeding going on inside of him. Another news update on him, he also commented in that same post that he got an update earlier in the day that he broke his ankle at the Daytona Supercross. How did he find that out? Well, he probably went over to the Alpine Stars medical team, said, hey, can you look at my ankle real quick? They did an x-ray there right at the track. Those guys are on it, and they give out free x-rays to all the riders, mechanics, and even journalists like me. I got a free x-ray at Washougal last year. Larry Reyes Jr. Said he had a broken ankle. He found that out. He's tried to race with it and then ended up having that hard crash in the heat race. So we hope you're okay, and we hope he's back on the track soon. So next up, let's preview the Detroit Supercross coming up this weekend. I think a lot of riders are very excited to head to Detroit, not because of the city and the atmosphere around it, but because of the track conditions. So we've had a lot of ruddy, soft conditions. Indianapolis, like I mentioned, crazy ruts all the way across the track. Also Daytona, very soft track as well. Detroit, hard packed, very hard packed. Last year at the 2022 event, Eli Tomac grabbed the win when a lot of other riders went down, not because of ruts, but because of silly mistakes and other just events that happened in that 450 main event. We have some highlights from it from last year. Justin Bogle got the whole shot. Justin Barcia was up front, but ultimately Eli Tomac walked his way through the pack, passing Cooper Webb and Justin Barcia in the whoops and getting up to the lead after passing Jason Anderson in a right-hand turn. Tomac was on another level at this race last year. I think he does well when the track is a little more hard pack. You can kind of hang it out there and be a little more loose. You don't have to focus on finding the tiny little ruts and sticking with them all the way through the rhythm section like you did at Indianapolis. So Tomac is certainly looking forward to this weekend. I think a lot of other riders are as well. This race also had some big crash last year. Chase Sexton came up the inside of Cooper Webb. That kind of spooked Cooper Webb. He ended up trying to triple something that was normally just a double, cased it, and that's when Chase Sexton landed on him. This is where he actually broke Cooper Webb's hand. Cooper tried to race with it for the next couple weeks. Then he got a concussion. He missed the St. Louis Supercross, and that was kind of the spiral downhill of Cooper Webb's 2022 campaign. But that crash happened. Marvin Musquin crashed, Dylan Ferrandis crashed, and Jason Anderson slid out and hit his head really hard while running second place in the main event. So lots of chaos from this event last year, but looking forward to it this year because of the track conditions. Looking at the layout, lots of zigzags across the starts, lots of tight turns, no sand sections. So riders are still happy about that. And it looks like it's going to be a good week. Long whoop section down one side of the straight, more step on step offs, more rhythm lanes, and some unique tighter corners that I think will create some good passing and some close battles on the track. Next up, we have a crazy clip. You guys have probably already seen it on social media of Jeremy Seward, the factory Yamaha MXGP rider, going over the bars as his bike had a malfunction at the first round of the MXGP World Championship down in Argentina. Crazy crash. I'm so glad that he is okay. I've known Jeremy for a long time. First met him back when I was racing the Junior World Championships. He came over here and rode my Suzuki a couple times. I think I've mentioned that here in a couple of videos, but long story short, glad that Jeremy is okay. He slapped the ground perfectly, was super calm mid-air, landed on his feet, but then slid off of him quickly. Seemed like he smacked his body pretty evenly, didn't hit his head too hard. Shoulders, arms, everything was intact. Immediately as he hits the ground, he's up already running towards his bike to try to get it started to finish the qualifying race. Now this is the first year that that they're paying points for a qualifying race, so that makes it unique for the championship and kind of confusing for the championship, but he wasn't able to finish that. And then he also had a tough race on Sunday when he went 17th in the first moto, but then picked it up with a 3rd place in the 2nd moto. So tough weekend for him, but overall glad that he is healthy and okay. For more MXGP highlights, check out motocrossactionmag.com. We got a video highlighting the weekend on our website. All right, next up, we have some behind the scenes footage from our 2023 450 shootout video that we just released. It took a long time to get our shootout video out, but it's finally out. In that video, I explain why it took so long, but I hope you guys have a chance to check it out and see who won our 450 shootout this year and the ranking of all 7 brands. I'll give you a hint. The Husky FC 450 is a 2-time winner of the last 2 years. It did not win this year's 450 shootout, so you will have to go check it out. I won't give you guys the winner in this video because I want you to check it out, but lots of fun. We have some clips here from Jody's house, behind the scenes, putting bikes together with the Pirelli crew as they mounted up some tires on all of our test bikes. Next, I have some footage here from the ODI factory. They have a full manufacturing facility right here in Southern California where they make all their grips. We picked up some of the new MX 2.0 lock-on grips. I always want to say MX Pro, not the Pro version, just the MX version, MX V2 2.0 lock-on grips. So good stuff from ODI. Thank you to those guys for giving us some new grips before they were even released. We got to use them on our shootout. We've been testing them for the last month or so. Those grips are coming out on their website in the next month, and they said that a few dealerships have them already. So check out odigrips.com and stay tuned for the new MX 2.0 grip. All right, so Glen Helen today, long day. I did a 30-minute moto at the end of the day, so I'm a little bit tired, but 5 o'clock. Johnny, are you almost out of here now?
Once I dial in Mr. Mosiman and get the MXA Wrecking Crew some new grips for the 450 shootout, then yeah, I'll finish up some more orders and call it a day.
Hard worker, hard worker. The ODI manufacturing facility is pretty impressive. It's only 10 minutes from my house, so it's pretty easy to come here and pick up some bars and grips, but pretty excited about the new MX 2.0s. If you haven't seen them yet, they are on our 450 shootout. So what's, I mean, the MX grip was super popular, right?
Yes.
MX Pro is super popular. That's what I raced with a lot last year and this year. MX 2.0, what's the difference?
MX 2.0, we made a much taller knurling, if you can see that. We made the knurling taller, so there's more crush to the grip. We made it a softer compound than the original MX. There is a little bit of texture feel in the MX logo there. We kind of dumbed down the branding of it. We made a taller waffle, which gave it a little bit more fingertip traction, a little bit better for holding on easier. And then just a whole new host of colorways. So we have 9 colors coming out in the next 60 days, as soon as our distributors and dealers get them into stock. So look for them at odigrips.com and check for them in the MXA motocrossactionmag.com shootout.
Yeah, good stuff. So that's it for this week in MXA, episode 116. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this video, leave a comment down below and let us know what you like about it and also what you want to see in next week's video. Good times, motocrossactionmag.com and motocrossactionmag on Instagram. See you guys there.